Welcome, welcome, welcome. Woo! Ah, yeah. Yeah, just feeling the sounds that actually want to arise and arrive for this moment of episode 6 of Pussy Woman with Linda, who we have had a nice little talk before this about introducing and introductions, and we have been on many journeys together since we've been connected, and we have worked and created and collaborated and made and experienced a lot of really powerful things together. And so that feels actually important to lay the foundations before we start this conversation, that we actually really know each other's creativity. I mean, there's always more, but we have worked a lot together in that space of allowing and also liberation of the feminine very deeply and in different forms. So yeah, here's Linda.
The non introductionable woman.
Yes.
And I'm Danish, so maybe that wasn't a word, I don't know.
You always make up good words in English.
Yes, I have to. I have to. So it's about pussy woman or what?
I love that you're not introducing yourself still.
Oh yeah, okay. Yes. So what is it about me? Liberation of women. Yes. I only work with women. For 20 years I've been working, teaching and so on in different kinds of spirituality, and the last 10 years I've only been working with women. Actually, because I just plain out found out that I am not feeling safe with men. So I just said, why work with them? I don't understand them. I don't like them. I only like my husband. And of course I like them, but there was this, resentment, and every time they was in the room, everyone shut down, and I could feel that when they weren't there, women opened, and and then for many years, actually, Johnny was in the room too, but then he also got pushed out. And then there was this safe space, somewhat safe space of women that I just wanted. And ever since I was young, I've been told that through horoscopes and so on, that I would work with women, and I actually never thought about it. But in hindsight, I can see that I worked with women from a very young age, in women who were hit and violated in sort of a shelter centers, crisis. In Denmark, we call them crisis centers, or centers of crisis, when women had been violated. And so it's like there was this prediction of my life, or this, what you call, looking in the crystal ball, saying you will one day be working with women. I was like, what? And then I worked with women, but didn't really recognize that I was working with women, and then like that. So now I'm just landing there, really. And it is a safety thing for me. It is a thing of resentment for me. It is a thing where I just own that I resent men so much that it will show up in a room if I teach. And I just don't want to, hold myself back and pretend that I'm as, whatever liberated spiritual teacher. I just want to sit with women and just say, I've found these keys and they work like that on me. Do you want them? That's just like the way I teach. It's like I go through landscapes to let go of what hurts and stepping into more self-realization as a woman. And immediately I turn around and say, do you want that? Do you want to be on that journey in this course and this course? I'm very productive. I'm very creative. So it's like I'm just spitting out from a pussy, you know, products, and it's very easy for me. So, so I'm just like the one pointing or serving the keys that I've tried on, and sometimes I'm not even there. It's not something I've gone through. It's more like I'm just the one who's holding this space. And sometimes I've actually tried the keys or the steps or whatever you call it, really chewed on them, and I can say these work if you're in that phase, and these work if you're in that phase, and so on. But it's more like a meeting. Yeah, I think so. And I think I'm also gone a little bit conservative, I've found out, because the feminine is very much movement and dancing and singing and being in the now of what wants to arise and being birthed. And so when I co-teach, I end up being a little bit conservative, because I can teach. I mean, I can teach for hours. You know, I can talk for hours, right? Yeah. So I can teach this like the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
And many women are a little bit, you know, tired of that, or full, or like, what is that? Is that theory she's doing, or whatever. So I found that lately, that because I have a lot of experience and I have a lot of things to say, I show up a little bit conservative, I think, or maybe even masculine. Maybe
structured. That, I feel like that's a part of the path we get to, though, isn't it? I mean, it's been that way for me. It's when we're exploring and reconnecting and like enlivening this part of ourselves with the feminine that we haven't been, you know, shown, like, this is the way to do it. We're going on a deep self-exploration, and I feel we go through, like you said, many different like stages of that. And so you get to a point where it's like, I'm ready to really take this and, you know, be structured about it. And then maybe I'm not, and then maybe I am, and just being like really owning that, which is something that, Linda, you talk about a lot, owning it. And I love that. And I love your example that you just showed, the embodiment of owning. What is
I hate men. I work with women.
That's like a big, that's like you are, I feel that in your body, that you own that. And it's not something that it can feel safe if you're not owning it. It can feel like you'll be attacked, or if be projected onto, or, oh, I feel unsafe even speaking this, because it's coming from a place of like not owning and not embodying and accepting. I think there's a part of that which, you know, we can keep moving with and keep being like, I'm not like that, and then
you know, love unconditionally. Love is all there is, and just, you know, being spacious and being kind. And I mean, I've tried that, it didn't work. So it's not, so when I say that, it's not like a thing that I've just chosen to embody. It's not like that. It's just like that this is the way it shows up, out of experience. Out of experience. And I've been with my man now for 20 years, and I can really see how I came in with this arrogant, you know, and still am this arrogant. What is he? What's that with him? He's like weird. He's like, he's not, you know, like, you know, what is this? And now seeing that there's so much of the masculine that I really don't know, that I really find odd, and that I really find, you know, repulsed by, and really find, you know, like there's so much resistance. And after 20 years, I can start, you know, it's like it starts to arise in myself, so I can own my own masculine, my own masculine qualities or ways of showing up in the world. And that deepens the way I come into liberation through the feminine. It deepens the feminine. It's like, I can't do this without the other. I can't do day without night, and so on and so forth.
For sure.
So it's just like in my lineage, it's like, what, you know, we talked about it. I said that, I think the other day, it's like, what is that? It's like, what is that over there? Like, what is that creature over there? It's just like a deep not knowing and a long line of, you know, feeling this resentment. So if you speak, do you say that the elephant in the room? If you speak about the elephant in the room, it has no power, and then you find out it's just a little thing. It's just a common thing. I mean, that's just the way it is. Being on that narrow, somewhat narrow path of coming into liberation through the feminine, and maybe even only through the feminine, or partly, or whatever, over 50% coming in from that. There will be this odd meeting.
Yes. Yeah, very much. That's very multi-layered conversation, isn't it? I love how we always dive straight into the really deep stuff. And here's another open question, is how did you first connect with your pussy, your womb, your yoni, whatever you refer to?
I guess I can ask. I guess I can answer this. I guess I can ask. Yes, I guess I can answer that in two ways. Like, like when it sort of woke, then just feeling that I've always been connected. I cannot not remember being not connected, if you say like that, to sexuality. I cannot not remember a time where I wasn't interested physically, you know, looking at, feeling at, touching, smelling, you know, what's it called? Tasting my pussy. I was always interested in pussy and penis, actually, and cock, and, you know, like from a very young age, I was much more interested in the relation with this guy, with this girl, with this sexuality that was ongoing. So I cannot remember a time where I wasn't interested in pussy, but then it's like pussy as it shows up in a girl's sexuality, right? And I wasn't even as interested in my parents and love for my parents, and as I can see, many women has a deep wound towards love and family and love from God, and I think the latter was more difficult for me, and I was more interested in the connection and attraction with people through sexuality. But that's the physical act, you know, interacting, and also I think when I found the concept of around having a boyfriend, and it was like, I want that. That's where our love is. That's where love is, right? And conditioned to go towards the opposite sex instead of just people, you know, persons. I think I would have done that if I wasn't conditioned. So sexuality has been there. So that's like an introduction. That's like the first one or whatever that, and I can't remember not having connection to that, to pussy as sexuality, lived and felt and investigated around it. It was a big part of my life. So the second more awakening thing, you could say, maybe a kundalini awakening, and I didn't even thought about this is kundalini. It's in hindsight that is, oh, that was a kundalini. That's why they call it a kundalini. That's the kuna, the cons, that's the same, the related word. And I love that word. I mean, I know people in England don't like the con word, but I do, because you can hear the similarity of kuna, kundalini, and kont. You can hear it, you can feel it. Then there is a word in Danish that relates to that, and people just hate that word in Denmark. So we all have our words like pussy in America and Canada. We all have those words we don't like around the pussy. And the way it's woke, do you say woke? Awakened.
Awakened or woke up.
Yeah, woke up. You can't say it the way it woke. No, wake. No.
It woked. You can say whatever you want, Linda.
Yeah. So it woke. Let me see. How was it? Yes. So in hindsight, I can see that just a couple of, maybe a year, a couple of months before at that time teacher died, my sexuality got so strong that I actually didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it had always been strong, but now it was like, and I was in a relationship with the same guys now. So it was like, wow, this sexuality, it wants more than just him, and it wants that. And I've been through that in many relationships. So I was just like, I know you want that, but this is not very constructive. So I didn't do anything as such, but I actually thought about going to a prostitute, a man, and having him be like a lab experimenting. What is this sexuality want? What is it that it wants? I couldn't really do it with my guy, I thought at that time. And this prostitute wrote back to me, "You don't seem like a woman who needs me. Why don't you just have sex with your man and just be, letting your inner woman, just be uncontrollable and wild?" And it was somewhat of a good advice, but I was like, nah. So he actually refused me and the money that's around there. So I love that. So I was thrown back to myself. And then after a couple of months, I just said to my husband, there's this thing about me in relationship is that I actually come to a point where the grass is greener. Do you say that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And I need to explore, but I've done this before, and the relationship before, I also not gave into it, because I gave into it so much that it had a bad taste, at the end, just being unfaithful and having sex with this and that and being drunk. And it was like, it wasn't even funny in the beginning, maybe, and sometimes, but at the end it wasn't. So
no.
So I didn't want to do that, and I haven't done that at that time, and for many years. So I just sat, I actually sort of like sat my husband down. This is serious. I have to talk to you. There's something going on with my sexuality. Can I be free to explore this and that? And he just answered, "Well, I don't have time today. I need to work." And he just walked away. And I was like, nah, not gonna happen. So I just walked straight after him and sort of like grabbed him energetically. And I said, "This is gonna happen with or without you. And I would love for you to come on this journey with me to explore my sexuality that is now emerging more than ever." And he was like, yeah. When he said like that, he was just, his eyes lit up. It's like, wow, I can feel that I want to do. If this is a thing that I do for you, I do for us. And this is what I build my courses on, because this is a long story short. I started to explore, talking through online systems with a lot of men, wanting to meet up with them. And every time I was about to meet up, the energy was like, now I know. It was like every time I was just like, okay, I don't want to meet up with him. So it's like I went exploring, talking about this and that. Just there were so many things I wanted to say out loud, and I wanted to go to the end of what you call it in English. It's like, I just want to live it out. And every time I was about to meet someone, I actually didn't. It wasn't a good feeling, but I needed to sort of keep going with that. It's like, now I want to meet this guy, now I want to have sex with, now I want to have sex in this way and in that way. And we also had some toys, you know, had toys, sex toys into our relationship, and I want to explore that and this and that. Then all of a sudden it started to shift. There was something in the energy that started to shift, like from a very deep going downward, somewhat animal-like, and I'm not judging. I mean, if you know me, you would know I would definitely not judge, but that was like this contracting, going downward energy that just wants, and it craves, and it wants orgasm, and it just wants, and it's insatiable. It can't. I just want to rub myself up against the walls and everything. And I was like, this is not fun. This is just like being, you know, addicted. I was addicted when I was younger to alcohol. This is just like being addicted. So I knew that. So I actually just ended up being with only one guy, and it wasn't really nice. It was not nice. It wasn't traumatizing, but it wasn't. It was just like, nah, I don't want to do that. But what I wanted to do, but in between, some miracle happens of all this investigating, because I was allowed to investigate, and I shared with my husband. I met up, just like telling like a little bit example of the many examples is, I met up with a guy online on Skype at that time. And he was sort of a little bit like penetrating, energy-wise. He was penetrating. I could feel that on the Skype thing. And I was safe because I didn't want people to, or men to, dominate me. But you know, when you're on Skype, you can just go away. So that was like, okay, I can explore with this penetrating thing. What is it? And then I just cracked open. For the first time, I just instantly felt, this is feminine. This is feminine, receptive, you know, like mouth open, the front open, pussy open. And he was like on Skype somewhere else in the country, right? And I could just explore that in a safe space. I wasn't even safe with my husband, and I was just like, I just want to explore that. That was beautiful, and I just wanted more. And I asked him, hey, could we meet, and so on. For the first time, I really felt I want to meet this guy. I looked at my husband. It's like, I don't want to be with him. I want to be with that guy. So I just needed to go with that. Because there was also a sadness around, why don't I want my husband, and so on. But you know, fate has so many beautiful ways of giving you something. So when we were to meet up, he just ghosted me totally. And that was, well, I was like, okay. So we had a service. We did some ceremonial, at that time, somewhat Christian-like services, not church Christian, not church service, but energetically meditation, where we invited Christ into the room. And we did that. I've done that for many years. And maybe the day after this encounter, with the first time me opening as the feminine, just opening, right? I just felt, long story short, that Christ, I was meeting Christ as a grail, as a, you know, like my womb was a grail. I was this, it was not like a big explosion or anything. It was just like this subtle realizing, now I know what's going on. This is why I needed to explore that much, that many, talk to. This is why. And then I said to my husband, I know now for sure that I'm not going away. Don't want anyone else. I only want you. And I also felt that I wanted to explore the conditioning about me being polyamory or monogamous. And I just felt that I am monogamous. Really. It was like I couldn't, every time I turned away to look at another guy, I could feel that I couldn't have my energy to more than one place.
Mm-hmm.
So just kept on exploring that. Is this conditioning or is it my choice? Yeah. And I just found out that this is my choice. And we talked for months and years about inviting a girl, a woman, not a girl. I mean, that sounded weird in these times. That sounded weird. A woman, you know, of proper age into our relationship, and a man and a woman. We talked about all that, and it just ended up with landing. Well, we really don't want to do that, but we wanted to have the choice and the conversation. We wanted to have that conversation, and I wanted to explore. And we found out that Johnny didn't really want to explore anything. I mean, so when that happened with me opening as the receiving, you know, Christ like from above, and I was like down here, my body was like a vessel or grail. Then I knew that that's the trajectory of this sexuality. So coming from this, you know, almost hurtful, lustful desire that I could be taken by, and that was pretty much interwoven with alcohol, eating, and it was like the core of the one desire of them all. I felt that I explored alcohol, and I explored smoking again and drinking again, and I explored having more food, and I just ended up being very sick. So, but that was like, now I really know I got really, really, really sick. But it was fun. It was fun drinking and smoking again, and dancing at weird concerts with weird people again, because I've done that when I was younger. So then the trajectory was just there was just this transformation around my sexuality that ended up being like, the core of my sexuality was like bliss. It was bliss and beauty and creation. It was like, this is the core of life itself. So I saw that, and I felt that over a couple of years, this transformation coming from the raw, somewhat animal-like, lustful, you know, desire, to this transformation into feeling that sexuality is actually just is like the core of life itself. And I was a very extroverted person at that time, and I could just do the opposite than what I was used. I could just sit. When I made courses, I felt that I don't really care if this course is to be bought or not, or if anyone wants it. Just creating it, I felt it was put into the skeleton, or the network of being, and it was just put there. I was just creating it into in the field of energy. So it didn't have no meaning if it didn't mean anything if I sold it or not, because that time I was of course interested in selling and so on. So, but at the core of it, there was just this creative, very, very beautiful. And then my soul just started to emerge, very, very visual in my cervix. Feel the colors. I could feel like a flame. I could feel like it's here and here it's not. It was really like feeling the core of my woman soul in my cervix. And then I was like, why hasn't anyone told me that? I got so angry with my dad at that time, teacher, and he was dead at that time, and I was like, why didn't he say anything about that? Oh, well, he didn't know. Yeah, he was very known in Denmark. He was very popular. He was very loving and heartfelt and all that. And he was talking about the soul in the heart and sitting and letting the soul come from above. And then I felt the soul is not coming from anywhere. It's like emerging from within my cervix. That was a more than radical shift. Yeah, of my whole way of looking at, feeling at, living spirituality. And that just, catapulted me even more into the body and femininity and womanhood and blah, 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 blah. And I had many beautiful experiences of, sitting in that soulfulness, whereas before I could I feel the vibration of my soul here and there, or sometimes I was just honest and saying, I actually don't feel soul. What is it? What are you talking about? Where is the soul and why and what and what? And I was just, being honest again, saying I can't really feel soul, and especially not above my head. What is that?
Yeah.
Right? And in my heart, I was like, in my heart, I can't feel my heart. So if I can't feel my heart, where's my soul? Am I underdeveloped? And all that. I was like, And so it was a profound self-realizing time. And there were many, many beautiful. It became very it became a bit non-dual. A non-dual sense of non-dual, and also feel that I could sort of just let my body go and I would be there still. And some weird, more, esoteric experiences. And Johnny and I had the most profound, fun, and beautiful sex ever. For the first time, I could just open, I'm open here, I'm open there, I'm not ashamed, I'm just like, wow. And when it was strongest, I didn't have, and that was a weird conundrum. In a way, I felt this female soulfulness and soul literally in my cervix, right? But at the same time, when I was with him, it was like a merging of the feminine and the masculine. I didn't have to surrender. I didn't have to be open. I could be penetrating. I could be playful. It was like I felt the merging of Shivas and Shakti, or the feminine or the masculine. I didn't think I put it into that words at that time, but I can see that in hindsight. It was just like, we're just playing. I didn't have to polarize myself.
Yes.
It was fun, and it was necessary to polarize a dominatrix within me, to polarize the penetrating part of me, being somewhat masculine, and it was necessary to polarize myself into being more receptive, and then all of a sudden it was just like, this is just a merging. I can't be in those either or. I'm just examining myself from that place, but I'm like the merging of that. But it was all happening within my womb, and I'm saying that because afterwards different things happened that was of the feminine, that wasn't of the womb. It's like totally different, the structure, the endurance, the more earth-like sustainability that people really hate and they don't like, and it shuts down the water and it shuts down the flow and it shuts down the soul of the cervix. And so I had a strong sense of the soul in the sacral center before I went into another realm of the feminine that wasn't that easy for me to relate to.
Yeah.
So that's like more the pussy womb. This is what, when we say womb, I feel that this is what people want to hear. The cervix part, the uterus part, but at the bottom of the pelvic floor, there is a whole nother level of womanhood. But that awoke later on, and that's not what I think that people actually relate to as pussy.
No, I mean, it's so deep. I mean, really recognizing and witnessing your desire to know your desire, if that makes sense. That primal desire that you were talking about. You desired to know what that desire was. How do I play out this desire so I know what it is? Because that's so normal, isn't it? We have these desires. Well, what does that mean? I'm feeling this thing, but what does it mean in relationship to life? In that, how am I creating in that masculine way? How can I make this something that's physical so I experience it, versus that like deep undercurrent of the feminine that feels trapped. It feels trapped and pressured. And what is this feeling? Like, how can I experience it? And that's amazing in, you know, when we come into like our humanness and really giving ourselves like freedom to explore these things in our humanness and not being perfect and not knowing what actually the fuck we're doing. We're following and we're unfolding and we're becoming within that courage of just doing the thing that we're uncertain of how it's going to look. But that like humanness is also what I'm really connecting with your sharing, is that, you know, you don't know what it is. You're just following it. You are following it for that deeper sense of knowing yourself. And when we're fully doing that in that messiness, it's amazing what comes through from that mess when we have the courage to go there. And I really feel that, and how like how powerful that is to really speak to and like revere that like courage to keep going into the discomfort around having those conversations with your husband, like continuing to go to that uncomfortable place.
Yes. And I also ended up sort of like, I really don't want you to explore anything. I just want me to explore. And he was like, well, I think I feel the same too. But if you want me to explore this and that, I can do that. He's like that. I can do that. But he also found that having from a young age, you know, desires and fantasies about more women and, you know, desiring all sorts of positions and toys, just now it was available. The desire wasn't even that strong. It was a masculine conditioning. And he was more desiring the connection and sexuality through connection and familiarity. Familiarity, you know, knowing each other and so on. So if we see the masculine, I see the masculine as this stoic, non-movable, Shiva-like energy, just to bring it into context. We don't have to see it that way. And I see Shakti as movement. Examination is movement. That's why we love it. We love exploration. We love to move. We love to educate, go through education, development. It's like, you don't just sit with the mountain, and as a mountain, you explore the mountain. So it may come from the mind, but as soon as it moves, it's feminine. And then you can also see that if they go together, it's just like, you know, like a spectrum. On one hand, there's this and that. So
and there's that action, part that is the masculine, holding that space and bringing that forward, which I feel is where we get to when we've explored the depth of our feminine without having any of that pressure. Like, we don't want that, here, do it like this in the structure. We want to figure out our own way of being in the masculine, because that's such a deep wounding. It's like all we've known is that we've been like stood on. Our masculine energy is just pressing down on us and saying, no, you can't do this and you can't do that. So that like allowance of our feminine to just be, to do, express, like all of it, so important.
The freedom to investigate, explore and taste and, you know, smell and live. And I think that's a very tantric part. We often put tantra in a realm of sexuality, but for me it's like, I want to transform life, not negate it, not distance myself. Negating and distancing is just that, what you do in order to look, to feel it, to not be overwhelmed by it, but you're not stopping at negating, even though many religions are like, okay, let's just go up and just, this is okay, this is not good, this is awful, this is the devil realms, this is the so we want to go into the devilish realms and taste that and have like not just putting a label on it, okay, so that's that. It's more like finding ourselves there and then transforming it from within. Like my desire just kept transforming, so instead of negating it or looking at it or saying, okay, you can't have that, it just transformed. I think I have to be honest to say it just transformed by itself, because it was a repetition. But I think that in many lives I had done that, transforming from within, just being with it and sort of bringing out or activating the true nature of desire, the true nature of lust, the true nature of sexuality, the true nature of my instinct, as if we could say that there is an enlightened version and a not enlightened version, and we have both. So it's not like sometimes you can feel that you go on a path, a linear path, where it's like we have both, and it's where we're coming from and how we are administrating it, and how well do we know it, and it tends to flower from within. All those awful feelings, all those painful feelings, all those painful energies and states, or things we have within, if we just let it live and investigate. But it is a difficult path, because it's like a razor blade. What do you say, that razor blade?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, you could say that.
Because oops, then you drink, oops, then you fuck another, oops, then you sort of like, oh, I did it again, and then you ate that chocolate and you vomited, or you ate that, and then so that's the path. That's the path. It's like really, you can say it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's understandable that when people look at the churches that offers, the bright light and the universal light, and it's like, oh yeah, I want that, because I keep not having the capacity to not go in and be overwhelmed. So let me just go to church.
Yeah. That bringing through of life from the primordial womb can be very, that's the death, rebirth, life, death, rebirth cycle, which really is the true teaching, I feel, of walking this path embodied in body, in the body, versus what you're saying, let's just stay up here and let's connect just like this and here. But in body, it's fully inhabiting the channel of what's possible. And those of us who are here to do it are here to do it, and I feel those of us aren't. And I kind of feel that, those of us who know we want to do that, we will, and we will go through the fire over and over again, because it's what we're here to do. When people ask me, like, how are you, why are you doing it, or how, even, my response is like, deeply, I don't have a choice.
Yes,
I have a choice, but I don't. Like, I have a choice how I do it, and how, obviously I have a choice of how I'm living, but at that deep, like, soul, that call, I don't have a choice. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here to do in my life.
Yes. It's like the choice can be, I'll not live my life. I will live hidden. I'll not investigate sex. I don't want partners. I don't want jobs. I don't want, that's like the choice that is like you step back. If you have a choice, that would be the opposite. And a lot of people on that path don't want to do that, because life tastes too good, or it it's painful to not be a part of life, or be a part of your body, be a part of your sexuality, be a part of everything earthly. It's painful.
Yeah.
So you don't really have a choice. I recognize that. I was just thinking, what was the choice if we want to go forward or into? That would be more like giving up or going away or hiding or something. And you do that once in a while to just like,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
But then that's what, and you can do that more and more conscious. So it's like stepping back to the mountain, have an overview, right? That's where the Shiva part comes in. For me, Shiva is the non-movable, and the Shakti is the dynamic movable. In the West, actually, it's funny that it's the opposite. We have, and it's so a lot like the good girl. It's like, oh, the good girl and the feminine, it's almost the same. Oh, so if you look to the East and you hear Shiva and Shakti there, Shakti is almost like the opposite of the good girl, right? So it's like we put in the West the feminine into this virgin-like, receiving-like, and there is a receiving. I found that, but that's like, like the little part of it. You can go around having, a company or a life and just say, I want to receive all the time. There is action. And if we think that action is masculine, a lot of women don't know how to step into it. So I use the realm of the Shivas and the Shakti because I feel the dynamic power of the feminine. So it's only the virgin who is receiving. The rest of the womanly me is definitely very beautiful and dynamic and powerful, and but that's like maybe also the thing that you can discuss, right? Because there is a genuine feeling of receptiveness being feminine, but that's not the end at all. It's just like it's just like saying I'm Snow White in the fairy tale. Everything comes to her, even the knight in shiny armor, everything, and everything comes to her because she's receiving, she's virgin-like. But when she becomes a mother, then it's like a mother of a company, a mother of children, a mother of dogs, a mother of she needs action.
And birth in itself is action. Like you can't just like receive, the baby coming out of you. You gotta push and be there and be in the pain and meet the pain and really like sit in that place of pure
the baby's not
power.
just, oh, now it's here, right? I received the baby. No, you didn't. You actually made it. You co-created, more or less conscious, and through all the phases throughout, being pregnant and then giving birth. But of course there is also a relaxation into it, but that's not the same. A relaxation around action where you find that Shiva and Shakti are like that. You can be that mountain and still push out a little mountain. That's a mindful. But
I feel like, like you said, with the polarizing, it can be so, this is feminine, this is masculine as well, and there's such a closeness in coming together in that union that it's also just working so deeply together that getting into this way of saying this is this and this is that can feel so, again, like controlling. And also the way explaining it feels controlling. It's like, well, yeah, that's a way to explain aspects, but not the experience. The experience of it is very different and complete, just happening. It's happening. It's just happening.
It's happening. It's just happening.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to pull it out and to like pull out the puzzle pieces and go, are you happening? Are you working? Are you working? How are you working in her? Just put the puzzle pieces together and it's happening, working.
Yes. And those who know this marriage is saying that it has always been a marriage. It's just us,
Yes.
actualizing it and realizing it. So in some way you're working towards doing something and going on a path and merging or whatever realm you're in of spirituality or lineages. And they say that when you realize, you find that there has never been a split. So I look forward to it.
That's the part where, we're trying to understand, aren't we, with our minds, and that's part of the process too, is really like, who is this? What is this? How is this part of me with this worked with this? And that's all important too, isn't it? It's all welcome and necessary and part of the unfolding.
Yes.
Woo! Okay, that feels complete and full and woo! Powerful.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda.
Well, thank you. And then we can have a part 2 where I talk about the exact opposite of that. And how that and because for me, waking up like that deep is sort of like waking up in the water element. It's very flowy. And then waking up to earth element, that's like, what is that? What kind of woman is that? It's like totally different woman awakening. Yeah, true. Because there the endurance come in, and the earth, like, like if you start out, water is desire, and not desire, because desire in English is also a different word. The more lustful, craving, hurtful part of your sexuality, where this is not going anywhere, but you need to try what it is to see how can it go anywhere, and then it transforms. It's like the water element transforms into this beautiful, creative, blissful, all energies in one thing. And at the earth element, there's the same movement, if there is a movement too, from just earth, dense, survival, matter, to becoming qualities that is discipline, structure, endurance, organizing, specifics, money, working. And then people who wake up in sacral tend to say, this is not feminine. This is suffocating. This. So up, we then tend to move up again in the cervix part, because it feels so suffocating to really go that deep into matter, mother, earth, so on. But that's like a whole nother thing, and it feels different, and we tend to put masculinity on that. Yes, I did anyway, and I did the same thing in my network when I teach and so on. So every time we structure, we feel we suffocate the water element. But it's actually just mother saying, if you want to do anything, you need to go to the root. To the root center. Yep. So yes, the lesson I have learned over and over again, where I've been pulled down to the depth of my root and go, hey, you still haven't looked at this thing that's at the root. Yes. I'm like, and also okay. Like, how can you do anything? You can give birth, but then comes 18 years after that,
Yes.
Maybe you give birth. It's very fun to just give birth and you birth, and it's very fun. Create a new cause, a new baby, and it's fun and it's very beautiful. I mean, I know how beautiful it is, and I know I would want to stay there if I could, but I just sank like in a floor deeper, and I was like, oh, I couldn't move, and then I flipped it and say, if this is feminine, I have put the masculine label onto it, saying that 1, it's masculine, 2, it's suffocating, let me get the hell out of this structure, whatever structure it was. I was saying, if this is feminine, this is mother, this is mother, how I can maybe it's more aidable, it's easier for me to digest it. It's easier for me to take it in. So when I sit with women, I say, feel earth through your whole, not through your cervix as such, but through your whole, and just feel how rhythmic she is, how she repeat. I mean, sacred people hate repetition. It's like 2 doing things 2 times, that's too much. I know that. It's like not even 3 or 4, just like the second time, I don't want to do that. I just want to do it. I just want to birth. Woo, right, orgasmic, and then finding orgasm in the deep earth and bones and so on. That's so when you feel mother, how repetitive, how can I say that in English? Like
repetitive.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, night and day, over and over again. She doesn't get bored. And the flowers, the same structure. She may be wild, just like growing, but there is a structure. She just repeats. There's a rhythm. I'm here. I endure. And just stay with it. And we tend to put the masculine onto it. And when we really go deep, there is a part of it that's also masculine. But that's where we find that now we need to see that these two are so interconnected, so interwoven. And there is maybe a more visionary-like structure, like rigid, box-like. From here, we see it more box-like, and we do willpower. Or we do the willpower from our root center. That's through endurance, through self-loving discipline, through organizing our life. And, babies need structures and so on and so forth. So the root is, it's a different realm.
Very.
And if you just look at the elements, you can say that the elements is unenlightened, right? It's raw, ready to reveal itself. There's water and there's earth. How is that? How do they connect? And then there's fire and there's all these elements. How do they connect to each other? And often if you don't feel the connection or you don't feel the transformation, they put each other out. So water tends to be too heavy for people to stay with when they go into the earth-like realms.
This is a whole teaching. There's a whole teaching there on all of the ways of being in the feminine and the different elements of the feminine.
And when we met, I had just started that earth-like experience, feeling mother, and I was just talking structure all the time. Remember? I do a lot of structure, and that was so new to me. It has come up through the years, and I could see that I was better at it than I actually knew. And so I've been really, examining structure to find a way into it that wasn't suffocating. And I'm still on that path because I'm not like earth, repeating myself over and over and over again. I mean, I'm not that matrix yet, just yet.